The Umkomaas River, quiet, peaceful and deadly to canoes at these levels of water.
Or everything in the hole, there's plenty of water to get down the river. There's going to be a lot of broken boats today.
But looking forward to this race. When we came down here, it was the same stretch we were on for the road go was. We were here last Saturday. The river was probably 9 foot, and it looks like it's about 3 foot today. So it's dropped a lot. It means it's going to be a lot more challenging. Some of the rapids will be a lot harder to get through, some will be easier. At this level, you've got to keep your nose up. If there are a lot of rocks just below the surface, you hit one of those rocks, your nose comes off, and that's the end of the race.
But 400 paddlers in 250 canoes still willing to challenge the river despite the dangers, with the Hella Hella Bridge acting as the start point for 35 kilometers of racing white water. John Edmonds and Anthony Rowan reaching the white water in second place, although having to swerve to avoid a rock, and that allowing Robbie Herefelt and Graham Monteith through. Graham Bird and Alan van Coller into number 1, taking things very carefully through this one, followed by Herefelt and Monteith, who hung back to wait for a clear passage. They make it through safely, but problems for Mark Perrow and Gary Clark as Gavin Tarr and Ken Lee Murray trying to go through at the same time, bringing some harsh words from Perrow. Perrow half a length ahead, but 2 into 1 just won't go in these conditions, and he and Clark go for an early swim. Although that was nothing unusual at number 1 on this day. A traffic jam building up as canoes wait to tackle the rapid with swimmers and broken sections of boats creating a log jam. Herefelt and Monteith clear of the main traffic now as the field spreads out. Perrow and Clark trying to make up lost time in the middle of the pack. While behind them, the carnage continued, with swimmers trying to get their boats back to shore and patch them up again for the rest of the race. Edmonds and Rowan still going well to stay with the leaders. Rob Oliaro and Roy Pepper in canoe 2690 breathing down their necks and going well through the rocks. And at the end of the challenge for Edmonds and Rowan after crashing out. It seemed that the hot, humid conditions have made everything very fragile, from helicopter tools to canoes.
Every time you go through a rapid, it goes up like this. And that's it.
Alan van Coller and Graham Bird out of the race, and to the pre-race favourites now having succumbed. This one another statistic after getting high and dry on a rock and breaking its back. Oliara and Pepper now leading after Herefelt and Monteith had to make running repairs after rapid number 4, which dropped them back to 6th place for a while. Clark and Longley up into second until they found a hole which turned them over, losing valuable minutes before they could get going again, and eventually finishing 6th overall on day 1. That in turn passed second place over to Kevin White and Ken Holden, with Colin Simpkins and Richard van Munsberg just behind, having to avoid Clark's overturned canoe. And this is how the water sees Simpkins and van Munsberg as they battle through yet another white water section. Campbell and Shattock making it through safely, while Herefelt and Monteith take up the lead once again. After some hard paddling, good fortune and expert navigation through the tougher rapids brought them back up from 6th place. Further down the field and moving up as well, Mark Perrow uses all his experience to get them through, talking to Gary Clark all the time to help him make the right decisions.
Nice, Gary, nice. Keep it going, right. That's it, keep it right. Well done. Good line.
The yellow signs of the Pridgeon safety teams to be seen all along the course, giving the paddlers a lot more confidence about tackling the tiger that the sleepy Umkomaas has turned into for this race. It's not just a question of survival, however, and the race is still on. Herefelt keeping the pace hot, even with a hole in the nose of his canoe. But for the main bunch, it was a nightmare. And if the river's taken your boat, you can always try it without one. But everything comes to an end finally, and the camp at Durncliffe was waiting with hot meals for those who made it through day 1. Herefeld and Monteith taking the honours there, followed by Oliara and Pepper, with Simpkins and von Mansberg 2 minutes back in third. Even then, no rest as repairs have to be made to steering and hulls, fiberglass being painted on by the metre. And then, of course, repairs to the paddlers. Eventually, everyone got some sleep, and bright and early the next day, everyone headed down to the start once again. The start of day 2 and the main pack getting away first. The 10 fastest finishers on day 1 kept at the back of the pack and identifiable by the green vests. Among those, Simpkins and von Mansberg chasing Herefeld to Monteith, who had no real lead from day 1 and wanted to try and set up a cushion.
Yeah, they're well off at this stage. Copper's going to be nice and happy that they got.
Graham Monteith commenting through his onboard mic that Simpkins will be very happy to have Oliara and Pepper to chase. Oliara and Pepper are also not out of the equation as the river winds its way through some very scenic valleys, although these also acting as heat traps and lifting the humidity level way up. Rob Davey and his K1 up in the middle of the pack, the K2s having far greater speed over the distance, even with some hard paddling in the singles canoes. Herefeld and Monteith now slicing through the earlier starters and opening up a gap to Oliara and Pepper back in second place, who are about 2 minutes behind the leaders, with Simpkins and von Mansberg still in hot pursuit. And that lifting the interest level amongst the other paddlers as they try and stay ahead as long as possible, even with the day 2 rapids proving to be just as bad as those on day 1. Pero and Clark going very well, still trying to make up for that spill at the start of day 1 and get back into contention for a top 3 place.
We're going fine through the rapids. We just got to go hard on the flat.
The onboard microphones proving to be an interesting development in canoe racing, as is the onboard camera, which allows a view of just how much work goes into a race like this. Herefeld and Monteith putting in a terrific work rate through the rough water. Things also getting rougher in the lead stakes as well. There's Key and Grant Wilson starting to close up on third place Simpkins and von Mansberg as they hit another of the rapids along the 35k day 2 leg from Durnkloof to Riverside Store. Those paddlers out of contention after crashing out on day 1, still enjoying the race. Edmonds and Rowan battling their way through to 113th place in the end and loving every moment of it. The same going for Simpkins and von Mansberg, especially when they caught Oliara and Pepper in the battle for second place. Simpkins stuck after selecting the wrong line. Key and Wilson taking full advantage of the situation to pass them and move up into third place, with Oliara and Pepper not too far ahead. Leaders and backmarkers alike getting stuck in the same place. A difficult shallow fall-off giving no indication at all of the right line, so a lot of luck needed to make it through first time. On this one, even experience not enough to ensure a safe passage. Pero and Clark also falling foul of the rapids and having to drag themselves over the top of the rocks before finally reaching the safety of deeper water once again. On the go once again, and although precious seconds were lost, Pero got them off again quickly before the force of the water could cause any damage. That's the secret of rock climbing in a race like this. Kevin White and Ken Holden finding themselves in the same position, not getting up fast enough, and the water pushing them onto a bad line which could have broken the back of the canoe. But luck smiling on them at these rapids, and the pair managing to get away unscathed apart from a few scratches on the bottom of the canoe. White and Holden going on to finish a well-earned 8th place overall. Campbell and Shattuck coming in just 1 second behind them in 9th. The finish line finally interview, and after 70 kilometers, everything coming down to a final sprint for the line as Pero beats Clark and Longley for 5th place, and Key and Wilson beat out Simpkins and von Mansberg for 3rd. But in the end, it was Herefeld and Monteith who took line honours in 4 hours, 1 minute and 46 seconds, 5 minutes ahead of Oliara and Pepper.
I'm very happy. It's number 6 for me, but it's the first one for Mont, so it's happy for Mont. We had a great race. paddle lengths weren't quite right, but that was good.
No, we had a good day today. We decided we'd go hard from the start, get rid of the guys with us, so that if we had another mess up like yesterday, we'd have a little bit of spare time to fix anything, and we just went flat out. Had a clean run, water was at a nice level, and I'm chuffed to finally manage to win this one.